Hello, everybody. Welcome to our very first inaugural Builder Blab. Woohoo! In today's Blab, we are going to be talking about how to use your website content, how to build website content, how to maintain website content, because it's a pain and it's hard to do. And so I thought this would be an easy topic to kind of kick us off. Each month we will do different topics, and I would love to hear from people on what they want to talk about because I'm totally flexible in that regard. My name is Meredith Oliver, and I'm hosting this Blab today, and it is being recorded. So those of you that are listening to the recording now, hopefully you'll still find some value and some information. Couple of things really quick. You can call in, and Angela over here has been brave enough to call in today, and we appreciate that. To call in, you will need a webcam, and you will need a login to the Blab platform. You use your either Twitter or Facebook login for the Blab profile. So you need one of those to be able to create one. Or if you're not really quite ready to call in yet, you can simply type messages in the chat box. And if you want to ask us a question, simply do /Q and then your question, and it will show up over on the questions. Looks like I also see Attended Events has joined in. Yay. That's a good friend of mine here in Raleigh, Evan Carroll and Associates, and they do events all over town. They're fantastic at planning them. And I was a guest on his Blab last week, and that's how all this craziness got started. So thanks, Evan. I'm glad you're here. I see Gloria is with us today. Gloria is a fantastic blogger and writer. She does a lot of writing for Meredith Communications for a lot of our clients. So she's really strong with website content. I see Karen with Smart Touch is here today, and I'm glad to see them. They're a good partner of ours, as is Lasso in the CRM space. And Elena, you're here with Garmin Builders. That's awesome. So I'm happy for that. And I'm sure other people are going to be signing in as we talk. So let's get started. Okay, so when I think about home builder website content, I basically break it down into 3 categories. I think about visual content and how important that is, and we'll start there today. And then I think about written content and what role that plays and what that looks like. And then I have a kind of this brainchild I made up called call to action content, which is how we get people to actually give us their information. And you have to have content that actually gets people to do that, right? So those are kind of the 3 areas I thought I'd touch on, and I thought I'd touch on some best practices and go from there. So I don't know, Angela, when you think about visual content on a website, you're a really strong designer in your own right. Any thoughts come to mind on, just what kind of visuals builders need?
Floor plans from, pictures of the communities, imagery, good imagery.
Yeah.
good pictures, good quality pictures. I think that's the key. A good size that have, and video as well. Certainly is a big, huge.
Yeah. It's a big component.
It may be a topic unto itself.
Yeah, right? Okay, yeah, that's a good topic idea. I'll keep that one in mind for next time. But yeah, and what I find is we know we need these, but then executing on them is difficult. Yeah. The analogy I make is that the visual content, the role of the visual content is to reduce the risk of the person visiting the website. So I'm a mom of an 8-year-old. Most of you guys know that. My son, Brady, right? Let's say I'm in the market for a new house, and I'm thinking about going out this weekend to go look at a couple of neighborhoods. Well, I want to reduce the risk that I'm going to waste my time while I drag my 8-year-old around to places he doesn't want to be, because that's just not going to be that fun anyway. Right? The visuals on your builder website reduce the risk that I'm going to waste my time and make me more likely to want to come and see you. So having any kind, as you said, Angela, of floor plans, of having photos, virtual tours, those things give me the visual to say, hey, when I get there, I am going to like what I see. So therefore, it is worth loading up my son, dragging my husband someplace and doing that. And so that's kind of how I look at it, is online, we're trying to reduce the risk. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, how do you and what do you do when, oh, I see my husband is chiming in, not during the Masters. He's not going to see a new home during the Masters tournament.
No matter how good the visuals are.
No matter how good it is. Well, that's my husband for you, right? For him, the Masters tournament is one of his national holidays, right? Operations? Right. All right. So the question is, at a very basic level, how can those visuals reduce the risk that, hey, I'm going to waste my time when I'm not going to get there? But then if we take it a step further, we have somebody like Garmin Homes that's on watching today, and Elena, who not only manages just to show you the basics of the product and what's happening, but their stuff is branded in such a cool, fun way that it makes you excited to go. And that's really the difference, right? So at the base level, we're saying you need these things just to get people to come out. The next level up is to put your own twist on it and to make it so that people want to come because they're excited about what they're going to see. Yeah. So I think one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, well, how do we create stuff? I mean, when we first start, there's like nothing, it's dirt. And that's kind of the challenge, right? So I think that good web marketing is strongly visual. So dirt in a dream, Elena. Yeah, dirt in a dream. So as soon as you can develop those things, the better. And in those instances, perfect can be the enemy of good. And so the sooner you can produce something that people can look at, the better. Now, what I would be interested in is, does anybody want to chat in or call in with their ideas of, like, are there anything super unique that's out there? Is there any technology, virtual technology, that really takes things that don't exist and turns them into something so that people can get that visual connection online early on? Anybody watching have any things that, please feel free in the chat box to chat in your ideas. I know that BDX does, out of Austin, Texas, does a lot of very cool virtual things that help builders do that. They help them sell dirt, but I think that's something we need to look at and investigate even more. Yeah. All right. Well, okay, here's a good comment that's come in from Lasso CRM, 360 webcams of under construction. That's definitely one of the tools you can use. And any of those things. And here's the thing, and I was just talking about this in a meeting this morning, is these building pieces, like say the floor plan renderings, they are the foundation of all of the marketing. So spend a little extra on them. Instead of doing black and white, do color, do 3D, do the more advanced stuff, because the better it looks, the more likely the person will click on it, learn more, and the more likely they will be to go ahead and come out and visit you. And that's really what we're trying to do. When it comes to a builder's website, we are trying to we're trying to get people to say, okay, I see it here, but I'm willing to get off my butt, out of my chair, off my sofa, and actually come to visit you. And that connection cannot be made without strong visuals. So Karen from Smart Touch just typed in the chat box that BDX, that's the company, Builder Digital Experience, talked about how important this content is at their digital customer experience event last week. Yeah, and that would make a good one. I'll reach out to them. Maybe they'd like to do a Blab with me and talk about some of their specific tools that they have for builders. That would be pretty cool. So, all right, Angela, well, thank you. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope you keep keep listening. Okay. All right. So we have open seats here, and would love to have different callers. So if you have a webcam and you have on some lipstick, if you're a girl, I'm kidding, please give us a call. I would love to hear from you. The next topic I'm going to move to is the written content on your website. And the written content is so important. Why? Because people will read it? No. Very few of your home buyers, your potential leads to actually buy, are actually going to read. They don't read, okay? If you look at the personality, the different personality traits, the owls, your analyticals, maybe your engineers, your attorneys, they might read your whole website in depth, but for the most part, most of your visitors aren't reading it. So who are you writing for is number one. And who you're writing for is Google. You're writing for Google. Google will tell you on their search engine blog, and yes, Google has its own search engine blog where you can read posts from them about optimizing for their site. It's pretty helpful. They will tell you that the average page needs 200 to 300 words of content in order to rank well in the Google search results. That's going to be approximately 7 to 10 sentences, depending on how long your sentences are. So yes, you want to write that copy in an enticing way for your prospective home buyers, but you're also wanting to write it for Google. And how do you do that? Well, with keywords and phrases that could get picked up in a potential Google search. Now, this becomes particularly tricky on your pages, your map pages, your floor plans, some of the pages on a builder site that already have a lot of data on them, listings, that type of thing. It can be kind of hard to work those in, but it's really important to try to do so. The other caveat to think about is the copy needs to be as high on the page as possible, which is kind of unfortunate because sometimes it doesn't look as good. But in fact, the higher the words are, the better that page will rank in the search results. Now, a lot of times I hear, oh, that is very old school, or keywords are dead when it comes to Google. That is 10 years ago. And Google has evolved. Yes, Google has gotten to the place where it is smarter and it does not just rely on words. That used to be the currency, the only currency it knew. That is not the case anymore. That the Google bot is able to look at the meaning, at the context, at the quality of the content, can look at social signals. I mean, the algorithm is complicated, so there's a lot of things it looks at. But I will tell you that the keywords are still part of the package. And any vendor or partner that tells you that that is completely irrelevant and not necessary isn't optimizing on a daily basis and being held accountable for those results. Because as a company that is, I can tell you that absolutely using those phrases in a very conversational way with high quality content absolutely improves rankings every single time. So, those things are important. So the written content is for your visitor, but it's also primarily for your Google. So that's why I like to make a distinction between visual content, which is largely completely for the purpose of your audience and your prospective buyers, and written content, which is going to be for the actual builder, Google bot itself. Yeah. So any questions out there so far? I know some of you are listening in and taking it in. We would love to have you call in. I know this is a totally different platform for most of you. And if you would be so bold or so brave, we would love to have you. We have 3 open seats, and you do need a webcam, and you do need to be able to create a Blab profile, which you do by using your Facebook or your Twitter login. You can also ask me questions. So please ask me some questions. You would simply type /Q into the chat box, followed by your question, and then it'll pop up over on my questions list and I can answer them for you. Okay. So let's talk about that written content and kind of how do you create it? Because let's face it, you're home builders. You're not writers. So it's kind of hard to do, right? Okay, so let's talk about some steps on that. First of all, you can definitely look at some of other builder sites, look at the type of copy they have. But please, under any circumstance, do not copy their content and just change and put your name in it. Don't do that. Why? Because Google will actually kind of penalize you for that. It's called duplicate content, and it actually hurt you more than help you. So if so-and-so builder has a great building process, step 1, step 2, and you're like, hey, I just want to get that on my website, and you think, I'll just copy it and change the name out. Yeah, don't tell me you're doing that because you're killing me when you do that. Do not do that. Now you can look at it and say, okay, this is great. This is the flow we want, or these are the steps we want, but then you need to really come up with unique content on your own. Well, how do you do that? You're not a writer. Well, that's what you hire writers for. And in case you didn't catch it earlier, we've got a really good, strong writer on that's called in today, or not called in, but that's actually watching today, Gloria, who does a lot of the writing for us and our clients. And you can use a copywriter to pull the information out of your brain onto paper and make it sound great. So I would encourage you to look at that and use a professional in that sense to help get that information out because it is important. All right, I see we had a couple of questions come in. Thank you so much. Okay, Angela has a question here. Does adding an alt tag to images make a difference, along with the actual image name in a blog post? Great question. Thank you for asking. Yes, adding alt tags to your images absolutely is still a factor in helping with your search engine rankings. It is very important and is one of the very easy things you can do. Now, if you're listening, you're not quite sure what an alt tag is. Anytime you upload an image to a website, when you upload that image, usually there will be a little dialog box that will ask you for the name of that image. They'll ask you for a description. And generally, there'll also be a field there that says alt, A-L-T -tag. In that field, you could type in your search engine keyword phrase that applies to the content on that page. So it should be congruent, whatever that page is about. Let's say that page is about a neighborhood in Apex. Maybe so it's about new homes in Apex. Well, then the alt tag for that image would be new homes in Apex. When you don't put the alt tags in, Google just defaults to the name of the image, which might, whatever you named it, the file name saved on your computer, which could be image 123. Well, that's not going to do you any good in Google search. So you can rename them with an SEO phrase and it absolutely still counts. It's not as high a ranking factor as some of the others, but it is absolutely on the list of ranking factors and can make a difference. So great question. All right, now the actual image name in a blog post. Yeah, that absolutely can have an impact as well. So if you use the phrase, new homes in Apex, and you work that into the copy on the page, and then the alt tag is named that. Let's say you also put that at the title of the page. All of these things start working together and creating this congruent flow so that when Google comes to this page and scans it, every single signpost is telling it the same thing. This page is about new homes in Apex. So when I Google that, this is going to be relevant to that user. Okay, Elena wrote in and asked, what are your must-have phrases for Google? Any absolute must-haves? Oh, thank you for asking. Yep. When it comes to home builder marketing, there's really 3 core phrases for SEO that you should focus on. And I've seen builders where they got contrary advice and it doesn't really work. And I'll tell you why. You really want to focus in on a short list, because when you're selling new home construction, it's a very targeted item. We're not selling flat screen TVs. We're not selling Apple computers as much as we might like to. We're selling something. We need people who A, want to move, B, can afford a new home, and C, are willing to consider new construction on top of a resale home. Like, they not only want to find a different home, but they're willing to consider a new construction home. All of these things make this the niche of the niche. Then you factor in the niche elements of location and price point and lifestyle. And it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. So I almost always have luck with home builder. So if I take home builder in Raleigh, home builder in Birmingham, that's a core phrase, does extremely well. However, sadly, the amount of traffic that is searching for that phrase, it's not usually that great. It's volume-wise. Now, if you get a market like a Dallas, which we optimize for some folks in Dallas, you get a market like in Atlanta, we work in that one too. Those are pretty big markets, so the traffic's a little bit better, but not great. So next level up, keep going up. New homes in. New homes in is such a money phrase because you're being specific to new construction. Although a lot of prospective home buyers, they think of a home as new, as in new to them, as opposed to new construction. In our world, we think new home means built by a home builder, but in their world, it just means new to them. So there's definitely some crossover there, which I kind of like. And that's why you tend to get more traffic out of it. So a new homes in Nightdale, new homes in Wake Forest, or wherever you're calling or viewing this from, is a strong phrase because you get the people wanting new construction and the people just looking to buy a house. So you get a little crossover there, and I like that. Ultimately, the phrase that has the most potential traffic behind it, but definitely broadens your overall pool and may get you more resale buyers than new construction, is homes for sale. So if you go homes for sale in Raleigh, NC, that one is your big one, and that's going to have the most behind it. But here's the struggle. It's the most competitive. It's the hardest to rank under, to rank for on a page 1. Why? Because of all of the real estate companies all want that phrase as well. So here you are, ABC home builder, and you're now competing against Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams, all of these giant national companies who have a local market division, right? And so they're going to outrank you on homes for sale. So sometimes on the homes for sale strategy, a solid page 2 is actually pretty good and could get you a fair amount of traffic, because the reality is, depending on which market you're in, you may not ever rank on a page 1 for that because you just can't compete. But you could still pick up some traffic with a very solid top half of page 2 ranking. Whereas maybe on page 1, you're really going for home builder and new homes, because with those, we're not as competitive, not as much potential traffic, but we have a much better chance of getting to a page 1. But you're not going to get any of that without some website content on most of your pages. And it can't be gibberish. It has to be coherent and relevant and actually useful to the reader. So a lot of times when I get down to the floor plan level pages or the inventory level pages, I see these awful, what I call awful MLS descriptions on those pages. They don't, I have to take a moment. They don't have proper spelling or grammar. It's kind of like a series of bullet points written as a paragraph. Yeah, that's not really going to do so good with Google. So if you can, rewrite those for your website so that they actually read more in narrative form and with proper sentences and structure. And then weave some of your keywords in there, and that'll do great for you. So that'll do really good. So thanks, Lena. Thanks for the question. Good one. All right. So I need more callers. Hello, who's out there? Who's watching? If you are and you have a webcam and you want to call in, we would love to hear from you. And what are your best practices? That would be awesome. In the meanwhile, I will talk about the third kind of content that I think is important on a home builder's website, and that is your call to action content. And this is kind of getting a little more sophisticated. So if having visual content is like, you know, your basic, you have to have that, right? You have something for them to look at. The written content's your next layer up for Google to find you and then visitors to find you. Now we want to get a little more sophisticated, and we actually want to map out who is coming to your site, who is that target audience, what are their interests, what are their trigger points, and how can we develop some content that would specifically speak to them and would relate to them. And that's what I like to call to action content. Now, in the B2B world, business to business world, we see a lot of examples of this. And what I try to do is take those examples and bring them over and apply them in the B2C world. So in the business to business world, I think there's nobody better at call to action content than HubSpot. Many of you that are watching or paying attention, have you had a chance to ever go on HubSpot's website? I'm not necessarily somebody that uses a lot of their tools, but their marketing and their call to action content is kind of fantastic. So you might want to study it from that perspective. I mean, it doesn't matter what you're doing on their site. They have a white paper for you. If you are interested in one of their tools, they have a free webinar you could sign up for. If you are wondering, is my website any good? They have a website grader you can use. Okay, every single one of these touch points or calls to action are ways that they are simply trying to get your information and get your name and find out more about you. So they're really strong on it. And on any given page on the HubSpot website, there could literally be 6 different calls to action. There's a live chat, there's an 800 number to call, a free demo webinar you could take, a white paper you could download. I mean, it's crazy good. So in the B2B world, business to business world, yeah, we do white papers all day long. Do I really think prospective home buyers want to download white papers? No, probably not. But how could we apply that concept because they do generate a lot of leads, and it's pretty interesting the way that they do it. So some of the things that I've tried for call to action content that's like worked really well for some of our home builder clients is as simple as a schedule, either schedule a tour or schedule your tour. Okay. And the only way that this particular call to action works is if the visual content has been selling it the whole time. So if you have really strong visuals that make me want to come and see the property, come and see the homes in person with, like I said, the photo slideshows, the videos, the virtual tours, if you have those things in place, but you're failing to invite your visitors to take a tour, you're missing the boat. Here's the thing about us as on the web. We're lazy. We're lazy. We just want to sit back and wait for you to do the work. We want you to do it, and we want to sit at home with our iPad and watch The Voice and not do anything. So you have to be more proactive. Okay. So part of being proactive is literally, okay, I'm going to do a little analogy here. You want your hand to like reach through the computer screen, hello, and invite those visitors to shake it, like reach out to them. And that's what HubSpot does so well. They reach out to people visiting their website and invite them in to participate. So that's what I want you to do. So as simple as schedule a tour. So you could have a really nice schedule a tour banner and that offers them, schedule. And I kind of like the terminology of schedule your tour to personalize it. But every single community page on your website should have this. Every single floor plan detail page, every single inventory home should have a loud and proud schedule your tour button. That simply, when you click it, it opens a very small little dialogue box window. Some people call it a fancy box, whatever you want to call it. Opens a very small window that asks really as little information as you can stand to ask for. Name, email, question, or comment. That's it. That type of call to action content can absolutely increase your leads. Simple as that, okay? Now, what's important is the design of the button. You may need to play with the color, getting it a bright contrasting color compared to the rest of the page. And even how that little form opens up and what it visually looks like when it opens, we are so sensitive to that if it looks big and clunky and cumbersome, if it doesn't open up well on a mobile device, all that's going to be a problem for you. So as simple as that suggestion sounds, it actually takes a little bit of work to implement. And I know Karen's on with Smart Touch Interactive today, and they're really, really strong with this in the things in the sites where they partner up to do. Creating those little call to action, those lead gen opportunities, okay? So schedule a tour, simple, but it won't work if you don't have the visuals behind it. All right, let's talk about another one. I actually tried one time, and I would say I had moderate success on this one, but we have a community that does a ask a homeowner call to action. So on this one, you could literally ask a current homeowner any question you wanted about the neighborhood, and a homeowner would answer you. What? That's crazy. Yeah. In this social peer pressure review world we live in, whenever you give people the transparency to say, hey, you can ask one of our current homeowners, we are so confident. Elena's saying, I heart eye emoji that idea. Yeah, right? When you're so confident, and let's be honest, what the builder did behind the scenes is they recruited 3 or 4 existing raving fans, and the email didn't go to them directly. It comes into the website to the builder, and then that builder funneled that out to one of the homeowners, who would then formulate a reply, and submit it back. So, I mean, this wasn't like too super scary. Don't worry, all your secrets aren't going to get out there. But it was so refreshing in the world we live in, where everything's so locked down and salesy. This was this really super transparent way to say, we are so confident you're going to love it. You can ask one of our homeowners. It was very cool. Okay, Elaine is writing in, we have homeowners who are general brokerage agents, so this could be a real win-win for them. Perfect, because they're going to kind of get it and could really formulate replies that, you know, you'd feel good about sending out and everything. So that was definitely what we did, and this is important on your calls to action. Each call to action should have its own Google Analytics goal conversion tracking. So in your Google Analytics, you can set up goal conversion tracking, and you can set up a tracking for each separate call to action. So the schedule a tour can have one. Register for our DVD, if that's appropriate for your target audience. It can have goal conversion tracking. Ask a homeowner can have goal conversion tracking. So each one should have its own. And then you compare to see which one is working best. Hope that makes sense for you. Okay. So I wouldn't say that the Ask a Homeowner was the biggest one or got the most volume of requests of any of the ones we did, but it definitely did pretty well. It was up there. And the people that were willing to ask a homeowner, they were great leads. I mean, think about that. I'm like so far along and I'm kind of wondering, what's it really like there? Yeah, they were really good to talk to. Okay. All right, so let's shift gears a little bit. I mean, I've talked a lot about floor plans and inventory for those of you that are the single family type of small volume or large volume production builders, but I don't want to leave you custom builders out. So if you're been listening to this, you're a custom builder remodeler, I don't want to forget about you. What kind of call to action content would work best for you? Well, in those cases, you can adapt and adopt the white paper idea, because certainly I know you're like totally going to be like, no, really? For those higher end price points of custom builders, you can still do a beautiful print piece. What? That people will register for on your website all day long, and you mail it to them. What? That's crazy. No. Yes. Actually, yes. I know, I'm stunned. You would think in the digital world that we don't need that stuff anymore, but actually you need it quite a lot at those price points. And again, all this is subject to your target buyer. So if you don't feel it's a good match, then fine. But we have a particular client I'm thinking of that builds beautiful second home beach homes on the water in Jacksonville, Florida. He was the 2013 HGTV Smart Home Builder of the Year. Really, really smart builder himself and the company and everything. It's really cool people. And in fact, on their site, having a beautiful lookbook, if you will, color brochure that people can register for is something they respond to very well. If you want to take it up a notch and really be a little more inventive with it, he actually converted his lookbook into more of a magazine format with little articles and things. And you can register for that and receive a hard copy of it. So it's very strong call to action content there that maintains the brand and the sophistication level that they're trying to get across, that you might not need at a lower price point. But certainly people who are able to build a second home on the beach are definitely going to be looking for a whole nother level of information and sophistication in the content on the site. So Obviously, the visual content has to be really strong and the written for Google, but then coming along to this call to action, really, really important. So yeah, so that's a good idea. All right, so now come on, I need some more callers. If you've just joined us and you're joining in, we would love to have you call in and ask a question or make a comment on our discussion today and talk about website content from your perspective. What do you see out there that works on your site? What do you see that doesn't work? What do you wish you had? You can also type in your questions into the chat box by doing /Q, the letter Q, /Q, and then type your question, and it'll appear over my question box, and I will answer them, be happy to answer them for you. All right, so the next thing I had in mind that I wanted to talk about was experimenting with those call to actions and making sure that they are perfectly aligned with your audience. Now, sometimes your audience is going to be, maybe they're buying their first home, right? So they're that first home buyer, super digitally savvy, super connected. And so you might want to think about, well, what kind of questions do they have? So for me, the written content on a site, the visuals to some degree as well, but particularly the call to action content should always be aligned with the frequently asked questions. So what I like to do is gather up your salespeople in a sales meeting and have a brainstorming session together on what are the questions you're asked most often, every day on the ground in the field. And some of those aren't going to be good for the website, real specific pricing questions, or why do you charge more for selections? There might be like little detailed things you're not going to want to put out there. But then if you take it up a level to how builder selections work, for example, and why we handle them the way we handle them, you could actually end up creating some fantastic content. How do you know your content is going to resonate with your target audience? That's where frequently asked questions come into play. So make sure, if you're on the marketing side of the business, make sure that you are connecting the dots so that the salespeople who are actually in the field getting the questions every day, that you all are communicating with each other so that you're addressing the message points that are really relevant to the audience. Now, I have some people say with this, okay, so we'll just do a frequently asked questions page. No, that's not what I want at all. In fact, I want to take all that content, and I want to spread it throughout the website, and it becomes the content on your main pages based on the questions that you get asked most often, okay? So how do we know it's going to be relevant? By the questions you are being asked, okay? So if you sit down and brainstorm those at a very high level, and you could kind of break them into categories. Questions about the building process. That's one category. What are those questions? Questions about our company, our history, our mission, our philosophy, our experience. That's another category. Questions about our building process, our building science. How do we do it? How do we know it's not all just going to fall down? How do I know it's not going to get mold? Those kind of questions. So building science questions. Then you could do, obviously, questions about your specific locations, the products you're offering, your building, those types of things. But if you don't guide the salespeople, a lot of times you'll just kind of get this product stuff. But that other stuff is also really, really important. The selections process, the financing process. So each step of the way, think about the frequently asked questions and put it right into the website. And this is where you can hire a writer, and you can, once you've brainstormed that list, and then you can use someone to write this stuff for you, and it'll really, really make a big difference for that. Yeah, Angela just wrote in, and she's right. Frequently asked question content also provides really great content for sales to use for follow-up. And that's absolutely right. And that's another thing is when you have kind of think about the whole website as like your database of all of your content, and then your real estate agents, your salespeople, all of them, you're always reminding them, get it off the site, get the info off the site. And a lot of times when I work with building companies, what I find is I ask them about something and I'm like, oh yeah, we have a PDF for that. And I'm like, well, I went through the whole website. It's not on there. No. Well, so your website is your library of all your content. And so it's kind of functional in that way. It's like Dropbox, but better. So you're constantly reminding your agents to go back there and reuse it. So you're taking that investment you made in creating all that content, and then you're getting to reuse it. And that makes a lot of sense too. Okay, I got a question come in from Elena. Can that content live in blog entries as well? Oh yeah, you are reading my mind. You're reading my mind. That the agents can share as follow-up, or better, write in the website. Both. Yes and yes. I'll take both, please. So absolutely, once you get some decent copy written about a particular neighborhood that you're selling, then reusing that and having that right on the neighborhood page makes sense. But then if you go write a fantastic blog about the selections process and why Granite is out and Quartz is in, then that kind of content is like perfect for a blog post, and it's perfect for agents to use. So yeah, that should be part of the training, is asking agents in the sales meeting this week, how many of you sent a follow-up email with a link back to our website this week? And start giving out little treats to the ones that do, to like incentivize them, like throw a cookie at them or something, I don't know, and see if you can't grow that number. Because the more, Elena's saying yes, yes, because the more you could get to actually refer back to that website and link to it, again, it's like your Dropbox of your content. You're just driving people to it, and getting them to use it. And your sales agents are going to be some of the best drivers, quote unquote, that you have for that traffic. So using that content in their follow-up. Because here's the thing. If you aren't creating that content for them, they're going to write it themselves. And you never know, right? It may not have the information and the messaging that you want that's consistent with your brand. It may not have all of the facts and figures quite accurate, quite straight, or how you would want it communicated. So left to their own devices, we applaud them. We want them to be innovative, our sales agents. But it would also be great if they could reuse what we have and repurpose it and then put it out that way. Actually just attended this past Saturday a day-long seminar on repurposing content. It was really, really good. It was through the National Speakers Association, which I'm a member of. And it was talking on a totally different industry, not home building, but the thought still applies. That once you make the investment in great visual, written, or call to action content, you can reuse it. You can reuse it, then leverage it onto the social platforms. You can reuse it into your follow-up. You can repurpose it into even printed materials. So there's so many ways to do it. I think in the old days, we started out with that color brochure as our foundation, and then we worked off of that as our base content piece. And while, depending on the audience, you might still need that. I think we do it with the website being that foundation, and then we go from there. So great question, Elena. Yes and yes. I'll take both, please. All right, very good. Okay, so we have visual content, we have written, and we have call to action. Wrapping up the call to action section and just thinking about that for a second. If you could have 3 to 4 call to actions per page, that would be awesome. Okay, so what does that look like? That looks like a schedule a tour button for people who are ready. They've been studying, they've been on your site for 90 days or 120 days, whatever. They've watched those slideshows till they're blue in the face, and they really need to just come out and visit you. Boom, that's them. But what about the people just landing on you for the very first time? I mean, they've just learned about you or just learned about what you have to offer. They're not ready to book a tour. So what kind of call to action content might be right for them? Well, at that phase in the buyer's journey, we're going to look at more like sign up on our email list for updates on new communities, grand openings, models, news, events, those types of things. So it's just basically kind of getting them to connect with you and agree to receive more information from you. So that would be, so there's 2 right there. There's sign up to stay in touch and schedule a tour. So you got 2. Okay, what about the third one? The next one, well, how about something like something downloadable? We have a client, this is a small volume production builder client in Texas, in Austin, that does a request a price sheet. I know, it's crazy. The prices are on the website. And it's like, are you serious? People register for this all day long. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's like, okay, here's a 1-sheet PDF you're going to send me. I don't have to hit the print button. I don't know. And maybe it's this, you make it so easy that they go, okay, send me a price sheet. I don't know what the psychology is behind it. Honestly, I have not kind of been able to figure that out because it doesn't make any sense to me. They register for it all day long. So the people that have been on the site, they've seen the visuals. They're a little bit past the initial stage. They're more in the middle of the buying journey. They're in that consideration stage. Requesting a price sheet, perfect for them. Think about what else could you ask them to do. How about a live chat? A live chat would also be perfect for someone in any stage of the buyer's journey, but definitely consideration or decision as well. So I want you to think about looking at the design of the site, go through first of all and do a call to action audit. Per page, what are you asking them to do? And how many different ways are you asking? And it may feel a little like, I don't know, like you're selling cars on a car website, with those ads like buy now, bling, like flashing. I'm not suggesting that. And it may feel a little like that at first with what I am suggesting, but I promise you, when we look at the tracking reports, period, bottom line, the more calls to action per page that hit people at various times during the buying journey, the more leads you get. Happens every time. Now, certainly you can do calls to action for call us, come and visit us in person. Those are great call to actions. You probably already have those. The thing that's tough about them from a marketing perspective is we can't really track that. We start to lose that unless you do the call tracking numbers, which is great. Then at least those calls came from the website. Excuse me. But we can't, once they get there in person, it's really at the salesperson's discretion as to how they ask the person how to find out about us and what information they pull out. So it gets to be a little difficult, on that. So anything we can do to create a call to action on the site where people actually are giving you information in the form of an email, a phone number, a name, a live chat, something like that, we can do a lot more tracking that. And we can then know, well, what do we need to do next? What makes sense? So just go through, that's your homework. Do a call to action audit and figure out, where you fall there. So those are the 3 types of content that I want to talk about today: visual, written, and call to action. Whatever you're doing in any of those types of content, make your content as engaging and interactive as possible. For example, on the visual content, if you, with the floor plans or with your site maps, please, if you can make those interactive where people can scroll over and get more information, then do so. You know, we've actually got a new interactive site map tool that you can use on your website. It's not just for our clients, it's for any home builder website. And you can embed it using a WordPress plugin or an iframe. And you can take that static interactive plat map and turn it into an interactive tool that people could scroll over each home site and see what plans work on it, or the pricing, or is this a model home, or you've probably seen those like that. So I will mention that to you. You can talk to us and learn more about that. But whatever you do, think about it from that perspective. Is this engaging? You won't believe how many times we've received photos with a dumpster in the driveway. A dumpster in the driveway is not engaging, or it's engaging on the wrong thing. I got a photo the other day with a workman that was working in the front, like walking by. Yeah, it wasn't a good look. Windows are half up and half down. The garage door is up. Yikes, stop it, stop it. So while I know a lot of us capture our content with our phones, there definitely is a place for really high quality visuals and really making them interactive. So just ask yourself, on any of these three types of content, visual, written, or call to action, do these things represent me well? Do they represent our brand well? Or are these 5 photos that the agent snapped that are in MLS of empty rooms, of the utility closet with the hookup in the wall with no washer and dryer? Is this photo of the closet with the wire shelving that's completely empty going to represent us well and engage people? The answer is no. And in those cases, you're actually better off with less is more. So on all of these items, just really push yourself that it's going to represent you as best as possible. All right, I have a couple more things I want to let you know about. I am going to be in Sarasota, Florida on April 25th doing a sales rally there. It's sponsored by Smart Touch Interactive. And I'm going to do the sales rally called Return of the Sales Warrior. And I'm speaking with John Palumbo and with Leah Turner. The 3 of us are going to be speaking there for the Sarasota Home Builders Association. It's going to be a fantastic event. So if you're in that area, we'd love for you to come out and see it. You can learn more about that at saleswarriorrally.com. Our next Blab will be May 10th at noon. And hopefully once this first recording goes out and people kind of figure out what it is I'm doing, we can get some more callers and some more interaction going, because that really is the goal. But I know this is new for everyone, so it's going to take a little time to get some momentum going. But that's May 10th at noon. I'm still kind of working on a topic. So if there's something digital marketing related to the home building industry, send me your ideas. I'm open and I'm interested in hearing what they are. And if you need an interactive site map for your website, definitely talk to us and give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about it. All right. Well, everybody's saying thanks. Hopefully you did learn something, and hopefully you enjoyed this opportunity, and we look forward to doing it again. And we hope you'll come back to Builder Blab. See you next time. Bye-bye.